My name is Susan Woodruff. I have adopted 5 children out of the foster care system. They were all between the ages of 7 and 12 when we adopted them, all biological siblings. This bill is informally referred to as Jacob's Law, and Jacob is my son. Jacob was 12 years old when we adopted him, and he has some special needs and very severe mental illness due to the 10 years of trauma and abuse that he endured. And he's 17 now, so it's been 5 years of trying to get him the best help that we can, that he needs, because with waiting lists in the system, there have been times where we've waited 10, 12 months for different therapies. We've paid it out of pocket for him to go to specialized trauma therapists. And this past year, because he wasn't able to get the services that he needed in a timely manner, he wound up in the hospital for 3 weeks with an additional 3 weeks in a step-down unit. So that's 6 weeks of a 6-week hospitalization. And I wish that he could have gotten the services that he needed before it got to that point. And I want to make the point that a therapy session is about $100. A hospitalization, a week, just 1 week in the hospital, is about $100,000. And so by providing these preventative services up front and making sure that children are not having to wait for these services, hopefully we can prevent some of the worst case scenarios when children do end up hospitalized. There is one point I want to make to the amendments that Rebecca Rios has proposed. And I know it's not on the table yet, but I don't know that I'll be back up here again.
I'll accept any comments on anything in this bill. Go, feel free.
Okay, great, thank you. One of the points in that amendment deals with children who are so severe and so critical that they are currently hospitalized. And it talks about step-down care. When a child is in the hospital and ready to be released, but they do not have step-down care in place. This happens often, and oftentimes insurance does not want to continue paying for the hospitalization. They don't meet the criteria for the hospitalization, so they're discharged from the hospital before their step-down care is in place. And when you have children who are in the hospital because they are a danger to others and they were not able to get stabilized to the point where they can return home, they are in danger, especially adoptive children are in danger of going back into the system because they were not given appropriate step-down care and they're not yet safe enough to come home. And there are many children currently in the foster care system because their parents, their adoptive parents, were not able to get them the services that they need. And so allowing this amendment to where currently when an out-of-home packet is submitted for a child, the REBAs are taking 2 weeks to decide if they're going to approve or not. And that's where that gap in the system is coming, because then the child is discharged from the hospital and they have nowhere to go if they're not safe enough to come home. And so that would allow for that step-down care to be put in place so that when children are discharged from the hospital, they have appropriate step-down care and they're not going back into the foster care system. And I think it's really important to keep those families stable and keep those families together. And I think that allowing those amendments would help ensure that.